5.5 months before we actually got them into counselling. That was way too long. They should have been counselling from the time we got them. But we didn't know any better because we weren't told any better. Older kids, we're not experienced with older kids. Most of the kids that come through have been under the age of 6, I would say. So it's hard to say what older kids, but older kids have their own personalities, their own problems. The longer they've been in the system, they're going to be a little bit jaded. But when it comes to adoption, which is what we're now pushing towards rather than foster care, we're pretty much out of foster care now, is the older kids, because we're old people and we'd like them to move out before we're in the old folks home, because that would cause problems. And we understand there's going to be issues with them, but we'd like to give it a try, at least for a year or two. And when it comes to adoption, it's far more easier to adopt an older child than it is a younger child. There are some people who go into the social services because they want to adopt a baby. Now, big problem with adopting a baby is usually the baby's taken away from mum at the hospital and the baby is a drug addict. And that's, medical issues, everything. The kid's going to be going through withdrawal. So that's hard, and I don't think many people who go into social services adoption who want babies are really ready for that. But it's all, I want a baby, and but the babies don't turn up regularly. It's the older kids that have been in the system for 2, 3, 4 years. They're the ones that need adoption, but there's not that many people who are looking to adopt that age. So, we need to check on what needs doing around this farm. So, grass is growing. It's day 2. Well, I suppose we could go and get one of the Axions and start cultivating fields. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with the black one. It's newer. There we go. I can't remember what the light switches are. That one? Yeah. Yes. Oops. We went to see that just after it came out. We were kidless at the time, so it was actually an opportunity for my wife and I to go to the movies, because up until that point, you've got 2, 3, 4 kids in the house. Going to the movies isn't too easy. Plus, social services tend to have to vet anyone that you have looking after the kids. So it's not like your mum or a friend can say, "Hey, I can look after the kids for the evening. You go take yourselves out." And it's sort of, well, the social services think you're a good person. Well, and that's the other thing, because the kid is on social services books. You don't have to worry about the health insurance. You've got all of the documentation you need. So it's basically, you go into the doctor's surgery and you say, "Hi, my name is Mr. Osa, and this is my kid, Jack Smith." "Oh, your kid doesn't have the same name as you." "No, that's because we're foster parents." So it's not that difficult, and once you explain to the doctor, the kid's in my care because mum's a drug addict and so's the kid. That's easy. The doctors see that sort of thing a lot, quite often. So it's not It's not something that's going to cause you a problem. Plus, the government's paying for all the medical care. And I wasn't aware when we started talking about adoption, but it turns out that potentially you get paid even for adopted kids. I'm going to have to light something there because I can't see a darn thing with this weather. There we go. We want the cultivator, which is by the wall. Because as far as I was aware, when you adopt a kid in the foster care system, they kind of become your financial responsibility. But anything the kid had issues with before they come to you, so health, physical health or mental health, the government will pay for that until they leave your care. That's kind of a fair enough situation. If it's not your fault the kid has physical problems because their mum was taking drugs, it's not your fault that the kid was has mental issues because their mum was abusive or their dad was abusive. So the government doesn't expect you to foot the bill entirely for everything that's wrong with the child. They're grateful that they don't have to pay for everything else. You're shouldering the care and financial burden, so they don't have to pay for that. But as compensation, they'll pay you for any issues that weren't entirely in your control when you take them. Now, I had thought that if the kid goes and has a skiing accident and the bone is shattered and they now going to walk with a limp for the rest of their lives, I thought that was your problem. But apparently it turns out that's not necessarily true, and the government may even pay for that. So, okay, fine. And then we got told, and you also get a stipend to care for the kid as well, just as if they were in foster care. So I thought, and we get that too? Okay. So, not that we'd want to do it, we're looking to do it for that reason, but it was sort of, that's more generous than I thought it would be. And, well, you would think, but it's also the case with foster care. You get paid for foster care. But it's not a lot of money. The kids are generally going to cost you more. Isn't that working? So I didn't put it there. The kids are going to cost you more than you get from the government to look after them. But, social services thinks it's only fair that, they're going to be paying for the kids anyway, so they might as well give some of it to the foster parents to cover their costs. And even the adoptive parents. Just again. Okay, now I'm online. So you're kind of getting paid to adopt, but it's the kid's going to cost you much more than you get from the government. Of course, you've got the tax incentive because you've got kids in the house. But, it is what it is. I was actually surprised that they pay you more, as I said, because I really wasn't expecting that. It's kind of grateful for it, but wasn't expecting it. Considering the weather, we are going to do this that way. So So anyway, that's the case with the kids. So we have no kids in the house, which has me considering we're on vacation this coming week, from Thursday to Tuesday the following. So there will not be a Lawfolds event next weekend, and no streaming Thursday, Friday this week, Monday, Tuesday the following week. There might not be streaming Wednesday, or it might be a very short stream on Wednesday this week because we're getting on the road early the next morning. So I am going to need some sleep. And then when we come back, I may be considering juggling with what I stream and when I stream it. Like I was considering the last time I was in this situation with no kids in the house, and all of a sudden we got foster kids the week I decided let's change up the schedule a bit. So that's currently under consideration now. So there may be more cooperative farms with Mrs. Osa. There may be short early evening streams of something. We'll have to see how that goes. And in other news, we talked to a realtor this week, and she's doing the preliminaries for putting her house up for sale. And that may be on the market middle of next month, potentially. Stop that. Adjust the operating mode. Let's drop it down. It's 1.7. Maybe. We'll shuffle that. Oh, there's an offset. Where's the O? Offset. Oh, offset. Thank you. Shuffle that back this way. There we go. Put it back on. But also, obviously, I mean, it's kind of like any profession. Not that adoption's really a profession, or foster care is really a profession, but you have to be approved. So you have to be a person of good standing and what have you. So it's not like any old person can get there. You have to train, learn how kids work and stuff. It's not like becoming a parent where you can be anyone off the street and have a child. That doesn't mean you're going to make a good parent. And obviously if you get into adoption from social services or foster care, you come to understand a lot of people aren't really that great. They have the potential to be, but it's not always the case. And when it comes to adopt them, we have to pay all the filing fees up front, and the home inspections and everything else. That all comes out of our pocket. And then when the adoption process goes through, we can claim, I think it's up to about $2,000 in expenses from the adoption. There's a whole load of list stuff to our right, so I'm going to go back up that way, at least a little bit. Now we've got less of an upper set. We're running a shorter working width than the cultivator. That should work out. Everything gets it's done. As soon as I get to the end of this row, turn around and go back again. But yeah, if you want to do foster care, it's a good thing. It's just you have to accept some of the kids are going to be a handful. Some of them will understand what's going on, some of them won't. Some of them will have a really bad experience with their natural family, get taken away from their natural family, and then misbehave something rotten because all they want is to go back to their abusive natural family. Which you would think, yeah, why would you want to go back there? But it's the only life they've known, and it's a case of some strangers came into my house, took me away from my mum and dad, stuck me with some different strangers. I don't want to be here, and I'm just going to not do anything these strangers tell me to do because I don't want to be here. I want to be back with my mum and dad. And they're perfectly capable of ramping it up such that you really don't want them in your house anymore. And then when the strangers turn up and take them out of that household, they're sort of, yay, I've managed to get moved. And then they're with a new foster family. So in their mind it's sort of, oh, I'm with another bunch of strangers, I still want to go back to my mum and dad. Well, playing up at the last place got me out of there, so I'll just repeat the process again and again and again until the people I'm with currently just get so, so pissed off with my behaviour that they just want me moved out. Now, not every kid's like that, but we have had a couple. And when social services doesn't tell you about the kid's behaviour and they don't support you in any way, it ends up, well, you're going to move the kid out of my house because you have been less than honest with me. And it's nothing that the kid, well, it's a lot that the kid's done, but it's more to do with the fact that you didn't tell me what I was getting myself into. Times 15. Let's see if we can get this weather off. And the thing we have right now is, I think I can do this. Oh, the tractor won't stop. I can't plant any soybeans or corn until late spring. So because of that, we're kind of stuck for today and the next 2 days. Sun tomorrow. Late spring's going to be rainy on Saturday. But yeah, we're kind of stuck with, all we've got to do is prepare these fields. There's there's no other jobs on this farm at the moment. Feed the animals. Should probably have checked on that. think I'm in a position where the animals aren't requiring food on the same day as each other. I think we did the sheep yesterday, so we could have the cows leading done today. So, yeah, we're going to be moving. We're looking at renting for a time, which will be complete downsizing of our property. Decluttering almost everything. I mean, we've been collecting stuff for 20 years in the States. We kind of figure it's probably time to get rid of the stuff we've collected because it's still in boxes from the last time we moved 10 years ago. And then once all that's gone, we'll put the stuff we want but won't be able to use in smaller accommodation into storage for a while. That'll be an expense, but it's not going to be a big expense. And then come springtime we'll be looking for somewhere to move to. We're staying in the area, we're just kind of done with this house all of a sudden. Kind of funny. We went out to have a meal with some friends and sort of ordered the food, and then we sat there and so they sort of, so what's going on? We've decided to sell our house. You're doing what? When did that happen? What's going on? And so well, no, I'm not changing jobs. We're staying in the area. We're just kind of done living where we're living for reasons. And so, yeah, we're moving on, finding somewhere else to live. But we're going to live in somewhere a little bit smaller initially. Maybe a vacation to visit my family, who's obviously getting on in years, because we haven't seen them in about, I think they were here once, so probably about 8-9 years we haven't seen them. They used to come over every other year, because my parents are both retired, obviously. But they're now getting to the retirement age of, yeah, we're not going to sit on a plane for 8 hours, 10 hours, and then change to another plane and sit on another plane for a couple more hours. It's sort of, we're too old to be doing that sort of thing. So we're kind of, yeah, okay. Now, one of the things we're considering is we'll fly to the UK and then take the transatlantic cruise ship back to New York. We might suggest my parents come back with us for a couple of weeks. Transatlantic trip, there's one ship that does it, and it's basically Sunday to the following Saturday crossing the Atlantic. So there's a sort of an overnight layover, and then 1 week sail back to the other side of the Atlantic. So you can either buy a ticket for a return trip, but you're going to be in New York for one evening, or you're going to be in Southampton for one evening, or potentially if you do the boat both ways, you're going to need to take a 2-week vacation on the other side of the Atlantic to wait for the ship to transit both directions. So we might suggest that to them and see how they feel, because we'd then have a couple of weeks in England with the family, a week on the ship with the family. They can stay with us for a couple of weeks, and then they can go home, and it's not sitting on an aeroplane seat for 10 hours. It's basically just sailing on a cruise ship, which isn't cramped, and there's stuff to do, and there's no jet lag at the other end. At least not significant jet lag at the other end. Oh, there we go. Rain didn't last long. And it still thinks it's raining. No, it definitely stopped raining. The little rain icon at the top right of the screen should go away soon, although the crops should still be classed as wet. The thing I like about 19 is I can go to the escape menu while the cruise control is on and the vehicle will carry on moving. If I do it in 17, the vehicle grinds to a halt. We'll do that anyway. Okay, yes, so we are going to have to take care of the cows before tonight. Is that cows? No, that's pigs. Okay, pigs. Sheep are short of water, but they can go another day. Pigs can go another day. It's really just the food products for pigs. Everybody else is happy. So the time down now we can see what's going on. There's a lot of lights on. We've basically got, what is it? We've got, today, what can you see from here? There's a field of oilseed radish over there, one to our direct south. There's definitely one at the tree line at the bottom. Can't really see from here. Oh, and I think there's one over there as well, so I think we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 fields of oilseed radish need cultivating. Okay, you take care and have fun streaming. What you doing today? Nice summer car. It's not a game I've really got to. I watched it after this first time round, just as a sort of, okay, I'd like to see how this goes, but it's not really a game I can watch play through multiple times. I guess maybe he went already. But we'll, yeah, for these fields we've got to cultivate in the oilseed radish. That's getting us a level of fertilisation. I'm thinking I'll get the manure truck out and spread that until I'm out. Then I'll probably drain the slurry pits as well, and then anything left over we'll use some of the digestate from the VGA. Right on a worker. We'll go do some stuff. Maybe. There we go.